Yes, hello. I am calling to inquire if Dr. Jones might kindly find a suitable time to arrange an appointment for me at his earliest convenience.
What? This sentence is grammatically correct. It's a little weird, and it's totally unnecessary. You could just say, "Can I make an appointment?" So this is an exaggeration, of course. Not very many people actually speak this way, but it's not too much of an exaggeration. One of the problems with being taught textbook English is that you're taught very formal speech, which if you're living in the US, for example, this kind of speech can sound very unnatural. So best case scenario is you have been a great student and you know your grammar inside and out and you're so eloquent and you just sound a little bit formal and unnatural for everyday speech. The worst case scenario is actually that you're using all of these uncommon words incorrectly and your grammar is also messed up, which is when people are completely confused by what you're saying. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to simplify your English so that you can sound a little more natural. My name is Anming Alexander. I created English Evolution to make English easy for non-native speakers. So first of all, why do we want to simplify our language? It has to do with how your audience perceives you. So think about our example. Let's look at the reasons why a native speaker might be using all of these words. Number one, they're trying to impress you or sound smarter than they are. Two, they're trying to gain favor with someone. We call this kissing up or kissing ass. Three, they might be trying to intentionally confuse you or manipulate you with language. Four, there are legitimate uses of this kind of language. There are fields that require complex language, for example, physics. But we're not talking about physics, we're talking about everyday conversation. By the way, even if you work in a complex field, the goal is still to simplify language as much as possible without losing accuracy. So we never want to overly complicate language unless we're trying to manipulate someone. Most of the time, people, especially Americans, especially in casual conversation, when you're calling to make a doctor's appointment, okay, when you're trying to get something done in real life, people tend to appreciate clear and direct communication. So another reason for this is your audience. Like when you call the doctor, who picks up the phone? And what do they expect to hear from you? They don't expect you to say that. And that's if your grammar is perfect. So think about it like this. The more complex the sentence, the more perfect your grammar needs to be. So I'm going to tell you how we can do this. This video is going to be step-by-step, different ways that you can simplify sentences. We need to say this out loud. Whenever you are editing or paraphrasing, simplifying language, there's an element of subjectivity. That means there's not one right answer. So we're not talking about right and wrong English. We're talking about clear English. If it's clear, it's fine. Also, because it's an art, I want to point out that you need to practice this as a skill. So the more you practice the art of simplification, the better you will get at it. Number one, we want to focus on what the main point is. Why are you talking? What's the main idea? So let's practice by simplifying a sentence down to its main idea. We are planning to undertake the task of organizing the event. What is the point? Who is doing what? We are organizing the event. That's it. That's all that's going on here. So planning to undertake the task of, all of that is redundant. The main point is we are organizing the event. Okay, let's do another one. The system requires a reboot in order to function properly again. Here, the structure of the sentence is different. Something needs to be done, obviously. What needs to be done? Restart the system. So there's a lot of ways that you could say this depending on the context. The system needs a reboot. We have to restart the system. You need to reboot. Restart the computer. These are all potential ways that you could simplify depending on the context. So what do I mean by context? I mean, who are you talking to and what do they already know? You generally only want to tell people things that they need to know and that they don't already know. So we start with the main point and then we add details as the context requires. So if you think that there's something that your audience doesn't know, then you add that detail. But the main point is restart the computer. The completion of the task is contingent upon the approval of the manager. Here are some possible ways to simplify. The job is done. We're just waiting on management approval. After the manager approves it, it will be done. It's done, just waiting on management approval. It just needs management approval. So again, the context determines what we can leave out. If we both know who the manager is, I wouldn't even say manager. I would say Steve hasn't approved it yet. It's all Steve's fault. So the very first step is always to just identify what your main point is. The second technique I have for you is to eliminate redundancy. It means don't say the same thing twice. We are currently in the process of reviewing your application. So we are currently means right now, in the process of means right now, reviewing, that is present progressive, that means right now. So we've said right now 3 times. We could just say, we are reviewing your application. It means the same thing. The primary objective of this meeting is to discuss the forthcoming project plans in detail. That is so much nonsense for no reason. Instead of forthcoming, which is a very uncommon word, you could say upcoming, next, or new. Instead of the primary objective, you could say the purpose or the goal, but you might not even need to say that because if you're in the meeting, you could just say, we're going to discuss the new project. So this might sound overly analytical, but the first sentence takes 6 seconds to say, and the second sentence takes 2 seconds to say. So imagine that this meeting is an hour long. And the person is continuing this style of communication for an hour. It means you could have had the meeting in 20 minutes. Probably also means that the meeting would be less soul-crushing for the participants. I would like to inquire about the availability of your product. I would like to inquire is unnecessary, right? When you inquire, they will get that you wanted to inquire. So you could just say, do you have this product? Along these same lines, in my personal opinion, I believe that this approach is not effective. In my personal opinion means I believe. Okay, so you're saying that twice. In my personal opinion, I believe. In my personal opinion, I think. You could just say, I think, blah, blah, blah. Or you could leave out all of that and just say what you think. So you could just say, this approach is not effective, or this is not going to work. That's the main idea. So yes, it depends on the context, how polite you need to be about it. If you need to make it more polite, it doesn't seem like the most effective approach. This is a really common way to minimize negative statements in English, like to make negative statements sound a little more gentle, like saying, oh, it's not the best, it's not ideal, it's not the most effective. Pause. If you like this video, please take 1 second to like and subscribe to see more video lessons from me and also to support my work. Number 3, get rid of unnecessary detail. This is again about the main idea, like why are you talking? What is your actual point? So when we're looking for these unnecessary details, remember that when you get rid of detail, right? You're zooming out. Part of the art of simplifying language is deciding which details are important. Here are some details that are not important. The report, which was prepared by the financial department, details the financial status of the company as of last quarter. First of all, who cares who wrote it? I'm trying to tell you what is in the report. The financial status of the company as of last quarter. We can simplify the structure of the sentence here. We can just say the company's finances last quarter. And we're going to change details to covers because covers is more common language. So now we have the report covers the company's finances last quarter. Next one. He mentioned that he had attended a seminar, which was held at the conference center downtown on improving productivity. He mentioned that. Do we need to know that this is something he told you? Probably not. Do we need to know the exact location of the seminar? Probably not. We can also take out the word improving. Why? Have you ever been to a seminar that teaches you how to decrease productivity? No, they're all teaching you how to increase productivity. So to me, the simplest version looks like he went to a seminar on productivity, or even he went to a productivity seminar. And like I said, when you're actively looking for ways to simplify your language, this will become more natural to you and you'll get better at it. So you just need to practice this. Number 4, be precise. Say something specific. If you're not saying something specific, like why are you talking? When you're too vague, your words become meaningless. The team needs to address the various issues present in our workflow to ensure better outcomes and optimize performance metrics. What's that mean? This is a garbage sentence and a total waste of words. This is why people hate corporate speak. Let's look at this language. To ensure better outcomes and optimize performance metrics. This is the same nonsense that we just saw with improving productivity. Do you ever want worse outcomes? No. Do you ever want to decrease performance metrics? No. So we don't need this. If you need to specify a performance metric, say which one it is. Oh, this stresses me out to even read this sentence. The team needs to address the various issues present in our workflow. Once again, we have said nothing. Clearly, we need to fix something, but we don't know what, right? Like we're trying to communicate that there is a problem, but we haven't said what the problem is. Imagine that the particular problem that we want to solve is that there is a delay in the production process. We need to resolve delays in our production process. See, but this is what happens. When you add specifics, you're able to further simplify, okay? Our production process is too slow. A child could understand that. Remember that the purpose of communication is like not to be fancy. It's just to be understood. I timed this one too. That first sentence took me 8 seconds to say, and I said nothing. And the final sentence took me 3 seconds, and you clearly understood what the problem was. If you're paying attention, you will notice that the third tip is to get rid of details. And the fourth tip is to be specific, right? So that can sound a little contradictory, but it's not. It's all about your main point. Like we want to decide what the main point is, and then only add the details that we need, that are relevant to the point. Number 5, use common words. I know that this is going to be a lot harder for non-native speakers because you don't always know which words are more common and which words sound weird, right? But this is why you need to be doing a lot of listening to native speakers talking, because you will, over time, get a sense of what's a common expression and what is a formal expression. Okay, anyway, let's start with an example. The implementation of the new policy will commence next month. Commence means start. The problem with implementation, that's a noun, right? When you put a noun here, it complicates the whole structure of the sentence. So we do not need this noun. When you implement a policy, the policy itself kicks in or it starts. So a great way to simplify this is the new policy starts next month. Another one. In order to maximize the efficiency of our team, it is imperative that we establish clear objectives. Okay, so here's an example of more ridiculous corporate speak. Let's look for the point. The first part of the sentence is why we need something, and the second part is what we need. So what do we need? Establish clear objectives. We need clear goals. Why do we need that? To maximize the efficiency of the team, to be more efficient. So final answer, we need clear goals to be more efficient. She possesses the ability to manage multiple tasks simultaneously. She possesses the ability means she can, or she's good at. Manage multiple tasks simultaneously. That means do many things at the same time. Actually, there is a very common word for that, and the word is multitask. She is good at multitasking, or she can multitask. Just a tip, even if you're not sure which words are common and which words are not common, what you can do is read the sentence out loud, just to listen to the difference in how it sounds. She possesses the ability to manage multiple tasks simultaneously, or she's good at multitasking. This is related to our next tip, number 6, which is to make sentences shorter. Of course, we don't want to lose important details, but we do want to express our main idea in as few words as possible. Due to the fact that the weather was bad, we decided to postpone the event until a later date. So again, we have two parts, what we did and why we did it. Due to the fact that the weather was bad, because of bad weather, we decided to postpone. And we postponed mean the same thing. And reschedule is a simpler word because it is more common. So we could just say, we rescheduled the event because of bad weather. And again, notice that when we have specifics, we can simplify even more. So imagine the event is a game and the bad weather is rain. We rescheduled the game because it was raining. So not only did we make the sentence shorter, we actually gave you more information and made it easier to understand what's going on. The committee, after much deliberation, concluded that the proposal was not feasible. That's a lot. How can we make this shorter and get the main point across? First of all, after much deliberation is unnecessary. We don't care how long you spent solving this problem. Feasible means practical. The proposal was not feasible means it's not going to work. They said no. So the sentence is reporting an outcome. We just need a simple way to express the outcome. What do committees do? Committees accept and reject proposals. So we could just say, the committee rejected the proposal. So you can see that in one sentence, we're using a lot of different tips. We're using more common words, we are getting rid of unnecessary details, and we're making the sentence shorter. Number 7, use active voice when possible. First, active sentence structure is simpler than passive sentence structure. It's much more common. Remember that there's 2 reasons why we might use passive voice. The first is to avoid responsibility. So I might say, instead of saying, I broke the window was broken somehow. I don't know what happened. And 2, to simplify the sentence structure when we don't care who the subject was, when it's not important to the point. So if I got my car fixed, and I just want to tell you that my car is okay now, I might say, my car was fixed, or my car has been fixed, rather than Mike down at the local shop fixed my car. Who is Mike? You don't know and you don't care. Like, that's not the point of the sentence. So we might get rid of the subject when it's just not necessary. So most of the time, we're going to use active voice. So what it means is that when you have a passive sentence that looks complicated, a lot of times we can simplify it just by adding a simple subject, like you or we or they, right? The proposal was reviewed by the committee and approval was granted. Who reviewed it? The committee. So there's our simple subject. What did they do? They reviewed it and approved it. Is it important that they reviewed it? No, not really. Of course they reviewed it before. That's what they do. So you don't need to say that part. What's the point is that they approved it. So you could just say the committee approved the proposal. Let's do one more for active voice. Considering the feedback we received, it is clear that changes need to be made. So the main point we know is that we need to change something because we got this feedback. So it is clear that changes need to be made. This could easily be active voice. We can just add the short subject, we, to simplify, we need to make changes. And considering the feedback we received could be based on feedback. We need to make changes based on feedback. Final tip, number 8, very important, avoid jargon. Jargon is corporate speak, and we hate it. We're just sick of it. It sounds fake and meaningless, and it's a waste of words. We need to leverage our core competencies to optimize our deliverables and achieve synergy across departments. That's gross. I hate this language. Nobody knows what that means. So let's go through this nonsense. Leverage means use. Core competencies are strengths. Optimize means improve. Deliverables are products or projects. Synergy means working together. So just from changing those words, that corporate jargon, into normal everyday English, we come up with, we need to use our strengths to improve our projects and work better with other departments. I still think this is a garbage sentence, and maybe you can see why. We still didn't say anything. So that means we need to get more specific. We need to use our strengths. Okay, what are our strengths? Let's imagine that our strengths are technical expertise. And to improve our projects, improve what part of our projects? How? Maybe to make products easier to use. Work better with other departments. Which departments? How? Communicate better with the sales department. So we're imagining specifics, right? Just so that we can simplify. When you're talking in real life, you actually already have the specifics. You know them. So let's try it again, this time with more precise language and no jargon. We need to use our technical expertise to make our products easier to use and communicate better with sales. I still don't like this, okay? I understand the point better now, but it sounds really long and awkward, and it sounds like two separate ideas. So what you can do when you end up with a sentence like this is split it into two sentences, right? One sentence for each idea. We need to use our technical expertise to make our products easier to use. We also need to communicate better with sales. So let's look at these two sentences side by side. In the first revision, we simplified the language so it was easier to understand, but we still said nothing. In the second revision, we didn't actually make it shorter, but we made it simpler by creating two simpler sentences. And we also added specific details to justify saying this sentence out loud in the first place. So that's it. Quick summary. Number 1, know your main idea. What is your point? Number 2, don't say the same thing twice. Number 3, get rid of unnecessary details. Number 4, don't be vague. Be specific. Say something. Number 5, use common words. Number 6, make sentences shorter. Number 7, use active voice. And number 8, don't use jargon. By the way, if you want to test yourself, there is a free worksheet on my website. So go to my website and click on free stuff. One of the free things is going to be called Simplify Your English. It has all of the tips that we talked about today, as well as all of the examples from the video. And you get an opportunity to practice simplifying 10 different sentences. If you like learning English like this, give me a like and a follow to see more from me and to support my work. See you next time. Bye.